This is the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Podcast, Episode 42, the Illinois Regenerative Ag Initiative. I'm University of Illinois Extension's Todd Gleason. Our guests today include wheat scientist and University of Illinois Crop Sciences Department Head Adam Davis and Professor of Crop Sciences at the University of Illinois and Director of the Illinois Regenerative Ag Initiative, Emily Heaton. She's also the University of Illinois Extension Biomass Crop Specialist with a focus on the agronomy of perennial crops for products and energy. Heaton started our discussion by explaining the Illinois Regenerative Ag Initiative.
It is a new initiative at the university that spans multiple departments within the College of ACES, but is led out of the Department of Crop Sciences. And it focuses on developing our capacity at the institution for doing regenerative ag-based work in partnership with our local stakeholders.
And Adam Davis joins us as well today. He is the department head for crop sciences. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. I'm in my fourth year as head, and in my work, I help guide the mission of the department and link our research, education, and extension activities with just kind of the day-to-day administrative affairs of the department.
So this should be interesting. I want to know from you as a department head what the difference between sustainable agriculture is and regenerative agriculture. Are they the same? And then we're going to find out whether the director of the regenerative has a different definition than you do.
Well, they're the same in that they're both buzzwords. Sustainable agriculture is a buzzword that's been used since the early 1970s. Regenerative ag has only been used the last 3 or 4 years. But I think operationally there's a big difference. So sustainable agriculture, there's 2 big differences. One is that it's very much practice defined. What are okay practices? What are not okay practices? What's sustainable? What's not sustainable? And the word sustainable kind of creates this image in my mind of a fairly static endpoint. Regenerative agriculture, in contrast, is an outcome-based approach to sustainability in agriculture in which you're trying to measure things that help improve various aspects of agriculture. So it's not practice-based, it's outcome-based. You're measuring improvements in soil quality, biodiversity, resilience, equitable careers or livelihoods in agriculture. And I believe that it allows us to pitch a very large tent to help people all the way along the continuum from very conventional to organic to begin working towards improving their ag systems along these metrics.
Emily, it is your job to put this into practice in place. What is your definition?
Well, not surprisingly, my definition is quite similar to Adam's. I think generally regenerative agriculture is anything that helps regenerate the human and natural resources on which society depends. And I distinguish it from sustainability the same way Adam does in terms of practices and outcomes. But I also think about it, well, to be frank, I think about it in profitability terms. You know, if you put $1 in the bank, do you want to sustain that dollar or do you want to grow it? And how do you know how much you grew it? Are you making 1% return? Are you making 20% return? Those metrics of return on investment are key to how we approach regenerative agriculture. What do we measure and how do we know what we've achieved?
Why is it that the college, the department, is interested in regenerative agriculture as defined, and what purpose and role should it play?
Yeah, we're interested in supporting regenerative agriculture because its outcomes are aligned with addressing the grand challenges of our time. So global change, food security, a clean, safe, healthy environment, renewable energy, sustainable livelihoods, and addressing these challenges with regenerative agriculture also helps us improve the productive capacity of the land at the same time that we're helping use ag as a management lever to address these grand challenges. My own journey towards regenerative agriculture began in 2012 when we published an article that was the result of work that I had started as a graduate student at Iowa State with Matt Liebman, called the Marsden Farm Study. And one of the findings of that study is that it's possible to balance productivity, profitability, and environmental health in a field crop system. And when that article came out, all sorts of NGOs in Illinois came out of the woodwork and approached me and said, hey, let's do something together. And we've been building for 10 years towards this. Regenerate Illinois began in 2016. That's an organization that helps align the NGOs in Illinois. The Idea Farm Network was established in 2017. And when I became head, I was very interested in helping make this happen, where University of Illinois began to show up for these stakeholders.
So you're supported, Emily, by the department, by the college, but you're the director. What kind of initiatives are underway, and what projects under those initiatives?
Right. Well, first, let me just say that the funding for the Regenerative Ag Initiative at this time comes primarily from Fresh Taste, which is an organization based in Chicago, but represents foundations from around the state and the region who want to see the same kind of improved outcomes that Adam mentioned earlier. And what they recognized is that one of the best resources that the University of Illinois has to work with is of course, our students and our faculty and staff. That's the resource that makes us special. And so we thought about what we could do to harness and leverage that resource, and we've come up with seed grants that we make available on an annual basis to any faculty and staff from the university who partners with a local stakeholder to do something related to regenerative ag that has an impact. So this is our first year of funding grants, and we just announced them this fall. And so we have ones, again, they all have a university partner and a stakeholder partner. 2 of those projects are related to a new potential crop in the Midwest, chestnuts. So that's part of an agroforestry approach to diversifying corn and soy systems that's also amenable to diversified cropping systems beyond corn, soy, including corn, soy, and also including animal agriculture. So you could do a lot of different things with agroforestry setups. And then we have one that's based on small grains and the way we farm them and what it means for our health. And that one's conducted in part with faculty and staff from the university's Carle College of Medicine, as well as with local stakeholders. So broadly, I would say the portfolio in this first year pushes scientific boundaries. We have questions around robotics, around plant genetics, around microbiomes, but it also really starts to create stakeholder university partnerships that are small right now, but growing and have space to grow and have resources to grow. And we expect them to leverage into new projects in the future.
The stakeholder that probably will ask questions of both of you about this more often than not are conventional farmers that raise in a corn-soy rotation. What do you tell them about the projects you're currently doing and the projects you hope to do that might be a direct outcome for them?
I'd say we expect any producer, whether they're corn and soy or anything else, to think about their operation critically and what new things they'd like to adopt and address. And if they find something that works for them in our portfolio, great. I think they will, if they are open-minded and think critically about the opportunities that are available to them in a changing ag marketplace and in a changing climate, frankly.
I'd say be curious, start small, pay attention to how things turn out with your small experiments on your farm, and then repeat.
What other advice might you have for producers?
I think the answer to the question is always the same. How does it make money? So there are lots of ways that farmers can look at their operation and figure out how it can make more money. And what we do in the Regenerative Ag Initiative and frankly within the Crop Sciences Department is we think holistically about sources of income and sources of loss and how you balance those. And particularly for landowners, we've found that bringing in some of these regenerative practices, changing tillage, changing cover crops, changing diversity on the farm, usually leads to improved economic outcomes. And that's also reflected in FBFM data as well. But it's not easy. Figuring out how to do it is not easy. One of the best pieces of advice I've gotten is at least never make the same mistake twice. So there's going to be mistakes made every year, and we need support for farmers along the way as they are being curious and as they are trying new things.
I would say get very serious about diversifying your cropping system. And I'll approach that as a weed scientist. From the perspective of herbicide resistance evolution, we have dug ourselves into a tremendous hole with the 2-crop summer annual only rotation. It's getting worse. Dicamba tolerant soybeans were not the magic bullet. We've got resistance now, and in order to prepare for the future, you're going to have to grow something other in addition to summer annuals on your farm. That's going to mean learning how to grow them. We need a supply chain that can handle them. We need markets and consumers that are interested in using them. But that's why our scope at the Regenerative Ag Initiative in Illinois is not just on production. It's the whole food system, because in order to enable cropping system diversification, we've got to think up and down the supply chain. So when I speak with conventional growers, I begin the conversation with herbicide resistance because that's a critical failure point of the lack of diversity. But you could also think about it with respect to resilience to climate change. A more diversified crop portfolio will allow you to survive those swings. If you think about, if you have an investment portfolio for retirement, you are not going to retire on a single stock. And the same thing in a healthy cropping system, that's going to be able to survive the swings of environment and global change. You're going to have to think about actually making a resilient crop rotation.
Adam Davis is the Crop Sciences Department Head for ACES, the College of Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences, here on the Urbana-Champaign campus of the University of Illinois. Emily Heaton is Director of the Illinois Regenerative Ag Initiative with the college and a professor of crop sciences. The two joined us on episode number 42 of the Nutrient Loss Reduction podcast. This program was produced in conjunction with Illinois Extension Watershed Outreach Associates, Jennifer Jones and Rachel Curry. I'm Illinois Extension's Todd Gleason.